Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Imperfect Show. I'm Susanna. This is Jeremy. And before we get into our topic today, I just wanted to let you all know, if you have not yet, hit the notification bell on this video or on this channel so that you can be notified when we have more material coming out and more content. We hope that you've been liking what we've been putting out on the show, and there's a lot of other things that we put out on that channel. And so hope that you will do that so that you can be notified of further content. And today we want to talk about something, again, from a Christian perspective. We've kind of been doing a series of videos, or the last kind of few videos that we've done have been more from a Christian perspective. And we talked before about who we are and what we believe. And today we wanted to just kind of bring to you from that perspective, talk a little bit about the topic of teamwork. And a lot of times, we could take this from different angles. And a lot of times we talk about marriage and kids and how we kind of teach them, or kind of how we are in our marriage, or some principles to remember on the specific topic. But today we just wanted to kind of talk about, as Christian people, what kind of principles do we need to have in our lives that would allow us to be the kind of people that are good team players. And depending on what your role is in life and what job you have or not, would depend on what this looks like. We've had a lot of different experiences in our lives, and we just kind of want to share with you a little bit about some principles as a Christian that you can have in your life that would allow for you to be a good team player and to do well on a team working with other people.
Yeah, team is really important. I was just talking yesterday to Tom Cronin, who's the owner of Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, next door to our office, actually. And we had a conversation about teamwork and how in Jiu-Jitsu, if you're not familiar with that, is kind of a one-on-one sport. So it's very individual. When you're there, you're grappling, competing against another person. There's not a team per se. And I grew up playing team sports. But in the Jiu-Jitsu community, they talk about their schools, their academies, the folks that they train with as their team. And that was such a strange concept for me when I first, understood that. And I asked Tom yesterday about that, and he started laughing. He said, we don't talk about team a lot because people think it's very individual, but you can't do any of the things we do as individuals without a team.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And I think in life, it's the same way. In ministry, we've been in ministry environments, in home environments, in different places. We sometimes think that we are an individual who can do it on our own. Mm-hmm. We look at what's happening. We think, well, that's a person doing a thing. But if you don't know how to cooperate on a team, you'll never be able to do even the solo thing by yourself. Yeah. You cannot operate well without a team. It's and that's true in sports. It's true in life. It's true in ministry. It's true everywhere. You cannot function well without a team. You have to get a hold of that.
Yeah. It's true. I like that you pointed that out with, we do live life on our own. It is a solo effort,
right?
But there's so much more fulfillment and enrichment that could come in life when we are able to allow people to come alongside us and come alongside other people and just do life with others in a way like that.
Yeah, so important. So, as Susanna mentioned, as we talk about this teamwork, we want to talk about it, approach it from a Christian perspective, and it's really important. I think your worldview, again, another conversation I had earlier this week, your worldview impacts everything. How you look at the world is impacted or contextualized by what you believe. We've talked about that a lot, and so it is with teamwork. And we've mentioned this, I think, every show for the last several weeks. But the starting point is always the common ground. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about being a good member of a team, you have to stand on the common ground of belief. Mm-hmm. What do you believe? And why do you believe it? That's the thing that makes us, first of all, able to cooperate with each other.
Yeah, and if you think about a team, most of the time, you mentioned jiu-jitsu, and even in jiu-jitsu, there is a common goal. There is a common belief of what should be accomplished.
Philosophy
during a class, during an event, during a tournament. There's always a common goal, a common ground perspective of what we're trying to accomplish. And that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and that's why when we talk about family, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, when we talk about family, we talk about the starting point. It has to be the Bible. It has to be Scripture. That's what we teach our kids. That's what we hang on to as parents, because that's the common ground that allows us to move forward together. In a ministry setting, it's exactly the same. If you are in a ministry setting and you don't agree with the the fundamental principles that ministry hangs on to or adheres to, you're in the wrong place. You'll never be a good team member. There has to be buy-in to the team. And even outside of the Christian community, I guess that would be true, on a sports team or something else. There is a common goal, a common foundation that makes the rest of it possible. You have to start there. But I think the next thing then is understanding if I'm on a team, it's not about me. Mm-hmm. Humility is a big, big part of teamwork.
That's kind of one of the first things I thought of too, is there's so much as setting aside of self, and it doesn't matter what your role is on the team. I mean, you could be the leader of the team, you could be a member of the team, you could be supporting the team. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your role is in that. You still need to really set self aside and make sure that what you're doing, no matter what your role you're playing in that, is in support of it and in supporting the people that are part of it, and really humbling yourself and making sure that you're doing everything you can to make the other people on the team better.
Yeah, and this is in every area of life. You are participating in the team. The team does not exist to serve you. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. If you need servants or you need caregivers or you need something else, that's a different thing. But when we're talking about participating in the context of a team, you have to understand you're just one member of the team. We've been going through in our home Bible study every week. We've been going through the book of Ephesians, and Ephesians talks about the church. It talks about the different members of the team. We've looked at other passages in the New Testament that talk about equal membership in the team. We're not all the same. We have different roles. We have different responsibilities, but together we make up the body. And that's really a wonderful picture of what a team is. It's understanding this is what I have to contribute. Maybe I am the person up front. Maybe I'm the person in the back. Maybe I'm the one preparing things. Maybe I'm the one executing whatever the plan is. Whatever your role is, you are a part of the team and you exist to make the other members of the team better. Humility is huge. I think often in a team, it's easy to forget why we're there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that those other people on the team, don't serve me.
Mm-hmm. This is something that we talked about a little bit last week as it pertains to marriage. And this is not really a topic on marriage. We're not talking about it from a marriage perspective, but similar in that way too is we talked a little bit about the roles in marriage, and there might be one person that's ultimately responsible for the home and for what takes place there. But that doesn't mean that they are better than the other people in the family, or that they're better than the other person that they're married to. That simply just means that is, their responsibility. But there's so much there of humility, and I've heard it called servant leadership, and all those things. And I think there's really so much to just a setting aside of self. Right. And being humble in that way. And I think that's a key component to being a good team player, right, is having that humility.
Yeah, it's common ground, common goals, common mission, looking at the other people on the team and really understanding I exist as a member of this team to make you better, mm-hmm, and to help you succeed. And then being focused on moving forward together as a team. We're all working together toward a common goal, but sometimes the move together part can get lost. And, whether that's in a family setting, we have 4 kids, as we've mentioned. And it's been interesting to see how, as our older kids kind of move into different phases of life, our daughter's getting ready to leave junior college and go off to college. Our son is making some life decisions. Our younger 2 kids are as invested in those decisions as anyone else in the house is. Mm-hmm. Why? Because at least right now in our family, we're still a team operating to accomplish a goal, to grow into a place where we can better glorify God and communicate Him to others. And we're moving that way together. And so even though the different parts of the body, the different pieces of our team are doing things, we're all invested in what the other members of the team are doing. We're doing our best to move forward together. Now, I know that in a family context, that breaks down at some point, mm-hmm, because people move on and form their own teams, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that's the goal. We move forward together. If one part of the team is doing something, the rest of the team must move with them, support them, encourage them, and help them accomplish the goals.
I think when there's different personalities involved too, sometimes it can be frustrating for one member of the team and whatever this looks like for you, in the context of the family or at work, or if you're on, a team serving in your administrative church or whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes there maybe is a weaker link on your team and it can be a little bit frustrating.
Right.
Also, depending on personalities, maybe to kind of learn how to deal with those differences and maybe learn how to deal with someone who maybe is not as quick to move forward as the other people. But just learning how to be focused enough that you're able to include everyone on the team as you're moving forward, as you have that goal and that purpose that you're moving towards, whatever that is for you, that you're focused on that so much so too that you're not leaving other people behind and that you're allowing frustration to take over because of the different dynamics that are there.
Yeah, that's great. And, that leads then to the next thing, which I think is really important on a team, is knowing your role. So we're all working together. We are a team. It's about the success of the unit, not the success of the individual. It's not about you. However, sometimes it's about you. You have to know your role. And that can mean a lot of different things. So often that means knowing what you're good at, knowing what you have to offer the team, knowing what you can contribute. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. For those of you that were in the Marine Corps or are in the Marine Corps, you've heard that before. That's one of the leadership principles. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. That's it. It's knowing what you're good at, knowing what you can contribute, growing in that area so that you can better serve the team. So grow in that, but know your role and realize that other people have different roles that they need to fulfill as well. Find your place in the team, do that well, and that will encourage the other members of the team to be able to function in the way that they are designed to function as well.
Sometimes I feel like what happens when when you're talking about know what your role is and do that well, people can get caught in, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, can get caught in that comparison where I wish I was doing, what this person was doing.
Right.
I wish maybe my role was different. I think I'm better than that person at that thing. So I should be doing that instead of them. And I think there maybe is a danger there in getting so caught up in maybe what you're not doing that you lose sight of why you're there and why you're having the role that you have maybe for that moment at that period of time, and maybe you're the one that needs to accomplish this specific thing at that time on that team.
Yeah, that's good.
And I feel like it's really important to focus on that because you never know what can happen in the future. If you in a job situation, if you do this job really well, instead of focusing on, well, I wish I could get a raise, I wish I could be promoted to this position, I'd rather be doing that over here, then those things probably will never happen for you. You shouldn't do what you're doing just so that you can be those other things, but you should focus on what you're doing to the best of your ability and doing that. I've worked with people who are so focused on that, so focused on wanting to do something different, to be in another position, to not so maybe feel like they deserve something different than what they're doing, that that part of that team, that role is never fulfilled, and that never gets accomplished, what they're supposed to be doing, because they're so focused on doing other things. And I feel like there's no better member of a team than someone who fills their role well and who knows their place and who does that well. And a lot of times the leader of that team will be then encouraged by that person to, like you said, be encouraged. The other people will be encouraged. The leader will be encouraged, whoever that is on your team. But also, maybe there will be other opportunities for you when you are accomplishing that well. Your gifts will shine, and what you do well will really come out in that.
Yeah, and on a lot of teams, maybe not a family team, but on a lot of teams, you may grow and grow to the point where you understand, I wish I was doing that. I have the ability to do that. I can't do that here. It's time for me to go to a different workplace or find a different ministry role or, whatever the case, to be on a different team where I can contribute what I've learned here and take it and apply it somewhere else.
Yeah, there is really so much to be learned even by watching other people fulfill their roles. Like you said, if maybe you feel like you are gifted in that, but maybe you're not there yet,
right.
Watching the other people and the way that they're doing what they're doing and learning from that will give you opportunities there maybe, but in other places as well. I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's great. I think there are a lot of other things we could say, but one of the, kind of the big ones as we wrap this up, there's a lot of things we could add here about being a good team member, but it's always remembering that you are better when you're part of a team. I think we always have this thought in the back of our minds: if it wasn't for these people slowing me down, I could do so much more. I like to go back to our design and say, what was God's intention? I don't think you can get away from the fact that God designed us to be with other people and to function in the context of teams. The Bible doesn't necessarily use that word team. But even in the very beginning, God looked at everything, said it was amazing as he had created it. He looked at Adam and said, this isn't good. He's alone. He doesn't need to be alone. I'm going to bring someone to him. And for a while, it was Adam and Eve and God, and they spent time together, not alone, together. And then we go through the Old Testament and we see teams being formed, and even some examples of how God instructed the nation of Israel to break into teams and to have people that supported each other. We go to the New Testament and learn of the church. And really the church is God organizing his people on earth into teams, not competing against each other, but really, I think, competing collectively against the devil or whatever. But it's teams. It's people working together to accomplish very, very significant and important goals. And really, that's how we need to live. We are better when we're part of a team. There's some really gifted people in the world, and they can do a lot on their own, but they'll never be fully what they were created to be if they don't engage in a team. It's crazy with media the way that it is. We see a lot of personalities on social media, in television, movies, and those things. A lot of personalities. They seem bigger than life, and they seem capable all by themselves. There are, in many cases, hundreds of people behind them that make them look that good.
Yeah.
Even in the simplest situation or setting, there are other people around who are making that happen. You will never be all that you could be without a team. You've got to get a hold of this principle.
There's a verse in the Bible that makes me think about, and I'm not quoting it verbatim correctly.
Well, then don't even use it.
But, it goes something like this: two are better than one. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, because he has no one to help him up.
Yeah.
And I always think about that when I think about, when I feel lonely, or when I think about isolating myself, or when I feel like isolating myself, and just how God created for us to be with other people. And yes, to be on a team, to have people around us that we can encourage, that can encourage us to be moving forward. And we are so much better together, so much better when we are with other people and living in community, but also working on a team with others. And that really is how God made for us to be. He didn't make for us to be alone and to be doing life by ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, get on a team. If you're not on one, you probably are on one. Often we just push back on the teams that we're on. But learn how to operate in the context of the team that God has given to you. Common ground, and the common ground for a Christian should be the Bible, should be Scripture, should be an understanding of what God wants us to do. Understanding we all have our roles, but those roles are there to support the other members of the team so that we can move forward together, so that we can accomplish what God has set in front of us. Understanding that we'll never fully be what we were created to be unless we engage in that team. And I hope that's a help to you. It's a very simple concept, but it's one we forget all of the time. Our whole world is screaming about individuality and, do what you want to do and be who you are and all that. And I'm not against a lot of that, or we're not against a lot of that. Well, I'm not. You might be. No. But I'm not.
I'm not.
However, maybe you're an individual with incredible talents. Engage in a team to accomplish fully what you were placed on this earth to accomplish. And that would be great. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you're good.
I don't think you missed anything either.
I hope not.
You got it all. Teamwork. That's how it works.
Right.
Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, if there's anything we can do, please let us know. You can subscribe, hit that notification bell. That would be great. Leave a comment. If you have a question or a thought on this topic, that would be fantastic as well. Share this out with someone else, and that would be great. Look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.